especially tag. Let me send this link out on my Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I hate losing. I can't even pretend like this is okay. About to talk about them loser-ass Yankees and Mets live on the Fan, streaming on YouTube and Twitter. If you're awake and you care, pull up to the chat. Okay. Chat. What's up, Pam? I already shouted out Demon D, but I don't know if my mic was on before, bro. Who else we got in here? Daryl. What's up, Daryl? Daryl said Yurt. Nicholas, what up? Good to see you again. Jersey Joe, OT Rep. You already know the dog days of summer are supposed to be August. And I can take it to the top. Okay. Talking to my producer. I sent you Lindor talking about the Braves owning them, and I sent you Rodon talking about he was huffing and puffing. Rodon's clip is long. We just got to play it to like 50 seconds. I'll go to it at some point in the open. Levi, what up? I heard Jazz too. Idiot. He goes, I gotta come back tomorrow and impress my fans. What the hell are you talking about, bro? I just wrote it on Twitter. The job, you gotta come back and do your job. The job is not to impress your fans. We need to win the game. Like, what is going on, yo?
It's AM to AM.
Your Sean Marks is cooking. I said he's got 9 lives. He's on 10. Yes, welcome in. We're going to talk about your Brooklyn Nets. 5 first-round picks. What comes next? You know, last night I took a call, and the caller said, what are the Brooklyn Nets going to do with all that cap space? And I said, I don't know. Well, today we learned former New York Knick Kristaps Porzingis was involved in a trade. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn finalized a 3-team deal to send Kristaps a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann, and Atlanta's number 22 pick to the Nets. The Nets are going to take on Terrence Mann's contract, Brooklyn-born, and they've got another pick in the first. I'm not going to do that. You guys think I'm actually going to talk about the Nets? Are the Nets still in the league? I know nobody wants to talk about the Nets. Just kidding. I know somebody heard that open. They're like, wait, is this for real? Getting ready for the draft? We'll get to it later, man, but we got to get to this nonsense. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app, live on YouTube, live on Twitter. They can see me in the chat. The title on my YouTube channel says, "Show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser." I'm a loser, like Evans drop. Tired of this, man. The Mets and the Yankees are finding ways to fail. They're creating new ways to lose. They just bring you up just to drop you on your head. They just set you up to let you back down. And I feel for the fans out there at Citi Field, and I feel for the Yankee fans that are fighting each other right now. Yankee fans fighting on Yankees Twitter. Which one y'all want to start with? Because simultaneously, these teams had 3-0 leads in the 4th inning. And then simultaneously, the bullpen blew it in the 6th and 7th inning. Just when you start to feel like they're breaking out of it, just when you start to feel like, okay, they're going to even up the series, now they found a way to break your heart. They found a way to make you sick. Shout out to my guy Kevin Dart texted me. I said, I'm falling ill. I actually feel sick. Like, I don't know what to do here. I'm tired of this. 3 runs is not enough. And we'll start with the Yankees first because, I mean, with the Braves and the Mets, we've seen this before. And it's a little different story with the Mets. The Mets had only 2 hits, and Brazo on that inning, what they use 3 relievers. We'll get to that in a second. But here's where the topic of conversation I know is going to land tonight. I don't care if you take Clark Schmidt out after 7 innings, going 103 pitches. That's the max in his career. I was fine with that decision. Here on WFAN, we stretch that conversation through Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It is now Tuesday, soon to be Wednesday. That conversation now shifts to Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon threw 88 pitches today. Carlos Rodon gave up 4 hits today. No runs today. In my humble opinion, he was cruising. Carlos Rodon is always sweaty. But I guess he was huffing and puffing. Let's hear from Carlos Rodon, because I jumped out of the window on this one. I was mad at Aaron Boone for going to Loizaga. Loizaga blew it. The blame is on 3 people, in my opinion. Loizaga first, Aaron Boone second, Carlos Rodon third. So let's hear from Yankee starter Carlos Rodon post-game about where he was after 6 innings in the heat of Great American Ballpark.
Carlos, what do you think about your performance tonight? I thought Wells, had a good game plan up there and just went up there to execute and defensively, had my back again and got through 6 and just, I thought it was a clean game. You done at 88 pitches and felt pretty strongly about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going back out kind of thing, but I was huffing and puffing a little bit. So usually I go back out there and in those situations I want the ball, but I can tell. I was gassed after they had some good at-bats and then some long at-bats, and it was just one of those days where, the energy was coming out of me quick. So,
okay, then you need to be in better shape, buddy. You need to be better conditioned. You make $27 million to be a starting pitcher for the New York Yankees. And you know what? Through this rough stretch, the Yankees starting pitching has been a strength. Through this terrible stretch of losing and not scoring runs, at least we've been able to count on the pitching. Why are we wrapping a starter up at 88 pitches? Why is that starter, who usually will give a look and has a history of trying to fight to stay on the mound, why is that starter good, job done, coming out of the game? See, this is where the disconnect is. Some of us feel like it's analytics. Some of us feel like it's scripted, where the script says 6 innings, that's good. Because we've got Loizaga for the 7th. We've got Weaver for the 8th. We've got Devin Williams for the 9th. We'll shake hands. This game will end 3-0. But then it doesn't go that way. It's hot for the Cincinnati Reds, too. It's hot for the rest of the Yankees, too. It's hot for the people in New York that work underground for the MTA and the subways. They don't get to clock out early because it's hot. They don't get to clock out early because they're huffing and puffing. They got to finish the job. They might have to work even a little bit later if the next person doesn't relieve them. You understand what I'm saying? I have a problem with it because you're losing and you need to stop the bleeding, and the series is on the line, and you decide that 6 innings 88 pitches, under 90 pitches, under 100 pitches is enough. Okay, you know better than me. You know better than me. But it goes back to this conversation of where we are in Major League Baseball. 888-808-1019. I was fine with you taking out Clark Schmidt, and I didn't feel like anyone got robbed because I didn't feel like Clark Schmidt was going to. That was 103 pitches. Carlos Rodon, why are you not trying to fight for your 10th win? Or maybe you thought that the win was a lock. I don't know. I'm at least running him out there for the 7th. Go get some water, sit down, catch your breath. It's hot for everybody. Use this as conditioning. That's weak as hell. It just, to me, like Carlos Rodon should have had his 10th win. And for what Loizaga came into the game to do, Rodon could have done that. I would have felt better about it. And with Loizaga, he's on a 1-year deal. He hasn't been healthy. And I feel like we imagine him as this like dominant pitcher. We imagine him as this version of himself that he has not been. He hasn't been great this year. You remember more bad moments than good. So when he goes into that game, I'm sorry, yo. They shouldn't have lost that game. Not like that. And it's still not enough. It's still not enough offensively. They had chances. 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position, 7 left on base. I know somebody is adding up all of these because last night it was 0 for 12, 9 left on base. Come on. The Cincinnati Reds rolled out a whole rookie, and he looked pretty good. And you know what? Congrats to Chase Burns because he came out mowing everybody down, striking everybody out, where I'm like, man, this is as advertised. This is going as I expected. This guy's touching 100 on the gun. Yikes. This guy is what they said he was. Strikes out Trent Grisham. And do we have to keep leading Trent Grisham off? He's been good, but why does he have to lead off? I don't think he's a leadoff hitter. He had success this past weekend batting 9th. I don't need to see him lead off. I know you got to put him in the lineup. I know he's got to be out there defensively in center field. I don't need him to lead off. Strikes out Grisham, strikes out Ben Rice, strikes out Judge. And I'm like, wow, welcome to the show. This guy's touching 100 on the gun, and he's got a smile on his face against the big, bad New York Yankees. He said he grew up a Yankee fan, wanted to be Derek Jeter. I'm like, how old is this kid? 22? Jeter's been retired for 10 years, 11 years. Carried a 1. Anyway, you know, the first guy to get a hit off him was Jazz Chisholm. And I got a problem with Jazz tonight, too. As much as I like Jazz, as far as his swag and the one-piece gear and the Jordans and the chains and his personality. Bro, he said something tonight after the game that just rubbed me the wrong way. And obviously, he hurt the team by letting that at bat. Well, honestly, in that at bat, we know he got jobbed. We know that was nonsense, but it's nonsense all the time. Hashtag ABS, ASAP. We need the automatic balls and strike system before this postseason. These umpires are terrible. But he let that called strike, that change up down, take his whole at bat away. Next one, he fouled off, swung, strike 3. And then he carried it with him onto the field. And then he gets thrown out between innings from his spot in the infield. He just keeps talking and losing it. I'm like, bro, now we got to put JC Escar out there. We need you in this game. We could use your speed, your fielding, your hitting. You had 2 hits. It's not about you. And post-game, he said, oh, yeah, we got a job to do. And tomorrow I'm going to come out here and shake his hand. He's got to call a game, and I've got to impress my fans. No. You're going to run yourself out of the New York Yankees, Jazz. It's not about you impressing your fans. It's about the New York Yankees winning games. And you were selfish in that moment, and it cost the team. Another loss. 888-808-1019. We already got a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Mets, and then we'll get to the Yankees calls. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'm sick and tired of it. It's super whack. It's not fun. It's lame. Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Yeah, all right. Sounds good. Every year. Another terrible game. Bullpen Bullpen was fine. Like Weaver was fine. Devin Williams was fine. It's another thing. 9 pitches for Devin Williams. We're going to Mark Leiter Jr. Oh, I got something for Judge. It's too much, bro. It's not about him. It's about the team. Let me start with some of y'all are saying in here. That's a bar, bro. Nicholas said it last night. The Mets are the Braves' oxygen. They're undefeated against them this year. They were dead. We are in here, though. Welcome, 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 welcome. Another KM to AM. Quick one. This is a 2-hour show. Ben, what up, my boy? Alvaro, good to see you on the YouTube. Katie, welcome back. Pam always in here. Yeah, Jazz should have shut his mouth. You thought I was going to go in here and talk Nets, but that was just a swerve. I'm not. I'm losing my cool, honestly. What up, Dennis? What's up? I mean, but like, you know, what is Mendoza supposed to do? Is Frankie Montas' first night back, and he's been trashing it. I'm gonna talk Mets when we come back, and I'll probably say the same things. Frankie Montas did great compared to his rehab starts. I wouldn't have pushed him any more than that. It's his first, and I get it. Rodon is a different situation. Rodon is built up. Rodon's been pitching since opening day, literally. 88 pitches for Rodon. I would have liked to see him say, "Yeah, I'm huffing and puffing, but I just sat down. I'm good. I can at least face a batter in the 7th." Frankie Montas, though, 5 innings, giving up nothing, 5 strikeouts, 80 pitches. You sign up for that 10 times out of 10. I don't need to push Frankie Montas on his first start back on June 24th. No, that's just it's a little different for me. But I know it's just eerie because we're sucking at the same time. Pause. I know it's eerie because it's like the Mets and the Yankees tonight. We're both up 3-0 in the 4th inning. And then they go to the bullpen and they unravel in the 6th and the 7th. And it's like, what? Like, it's some type of weird cosmic energy that both teams are finding ways to lose and failing at the same time. But it's apples to oranges. I can't compare Mendy's decision with Frankie Montas to Boone's decision. And I just played the audio from you. It wasn't even for you. It wasn't even just Boone. For Rodon, they at least had their stories together for Rodon and be like, yeah, I was done. I was huffing and puffing. Why are you done at 88 pitches? You were huffing and puffing. It's hot for everybody out there. You should be in better shape then. You're a $27 million pitcher. You should be in better shape. You should be able to lead. I'm like, he is the fake tough guy that always is like, if Boone comes out and gets him, he's looking at Boone like, I'm not done. But tonight you were done. To me, that shows a mentality of like, oh, finally, we're up 3 runs. My job is done. We're not competing. We're not fighting. We're just going off a script and saying, yeah, good enough here. Bullpen will take it the rest of the way. No, the starting pitching has been a strength for the Yankees. I need you to continue. Because if you don't continue, I end up with Mark Leiter Jr., who pitched yesterday in this game, back-to-back innings. And Mark Leiter Jr., he's not beating Ellie De La Cruz like Mark Leiter Jr. right now, like, I don't know. That shit pissed me off. I'm sorry. They should have won that game. And now they just lost another series. And now we have all these question marks about like Boone, Rodon, Jazz, Loizaga sucks. Judge not being clutch. They can't score they were gifted a run off the wild pitch. They are terrible in extra innings. Like first off, I hate Manfred's man on second. I think it's the dumbest thing that they ever did to baseball. When I was in the fan cave, the whole premise of the MLB fan cave was these 8 fans watch every game from first pitch to last out. I watched the 19-inning Boston versus Anaheim game. That'll never happen again. The people that run baseball decided that baseball fans, they don't really care for all the extra innings, and we got to wrap this thing up. So we'll put a ghost runner on second. And the Yankees have yet to figure out a strategy for how to move that runner over, how to score that run. They got gifted. Honestly, the Wells first pitch swing in, Dominguez pops up. They got lucky. They walk Grisham and they walk Rice. And then what does Judge do?
And FM, WFAN FM HD1, New York, and Odyssey Sports Station. WFAN Sports.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by Police Officers Right to Sue.com. Mets still can't solve the Braves. Atlanta, a 5 spot in the 6th, rallied for a 7-4 victory, making it 5 straight in the season series. Frankie Montas, brilliant in his Mets debut, 5 scoreless, but the bullpen imploded. Matt Olson, your go, had 2-run single. He knocked in 3. Mets have lost 10 of 11. Also, before the game announced, Sean Manaea got a cortisone shot for his elbow. He'll be shut down a couple of days. They hope he can make a rehab start sometime next week. Yankees gave one away to the Reds, 5-4-11. Carlos Rodon, 6 scoreless, but Jonathan Loáisiga gave up 3 in just a third of an inning. Bombers couldn't protect a 1-run lead in the 11th. They have dropped 9 of 12. And Jazz Chisholm wasn't there for the end, tossed in the 9th, warming up for the bottom of the inning after being unhappy with a call during the top of the inning during his strikeout.
I realized that he was looking at me. I looked at him and I said, "Why are you looking at me?" And that's when I got tossed. I didn't get tossed for saying nothing crazy. I didn't get tossed for saying, "Oh, that was a bad pitch." I got a toss for saying, "Why are you looking at me?" I don't think that's a good reason to toss anybody.
And the Nets are now up to 5 first-round picks in tonight's draft. Got the 22nd overall, along with Terrence Mann from the Hawks and a 3-team deal with the Celtics. Boston ships Kristaps Porzingis in a second-rounder to Atlanta. Gets back George Niang in a second-rounder. I couple this with the Drew Holiday deal. Boston has saved $180 million in tax penalty money, putting themselves under the second apron. 90 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Get connected with WFAN to talk about your favorite teams.
I'll go to
The
that
Fan,
and then
always live on the
get out of
free Odyssey app.
Good morning. Good morning. This was Jazz's walk-up song at one point. Someone's got to talk to Jazz. Like, you got thrown out because they have the power to throw you out, and you have no power in that situation. So be quiet. Like, what are you talking about, bro? You got thrown out. Why am I looking at you? Like, he can do whatever he wants. He's the ump. He's a home plate ump. Anyway, let's talk Mets. I think a lot of people expect me to troll the Mets or make fun of the Mets or laugh at the Mets, and this is no laughing matter. The Braves just own them in a way that is just not cool. Like, if I were a Met fan, I'd absolutely hate the Braves. The sight of Blooper, the Tomahawk Chop, Chipper Jones. I would hate Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider. And you know what? Spencer Strider had it going in the beginning of this game. He had a little bit of a no-no going early in the game. And, they broke through. And then in that 4th inning, they made it happen, sending 8 to the plate. Soto walked. It's like his 65th walk of the season, leading, all Major League Baseball. He stole a base. That was his 9th steal. That's also up there. And Pete Alonso was the one to put the first hit in the hit column. And Soto moves to 3rd. And, Jeff McNeil's sac fly scores him. And then, Mets take the lead, and they don't stop there. Luis Torrens walks. Brett Beatty stays high. Like, they start to get something going. And it's like small ball passing the baton where you feel good about it. Like, okay, here we are. A little bit of a lead. We get to Strider and Frankie Montas. Even in the chat just now, someone in the chat was talking about Frankie Montas being pulled after 5 innings, throwing 80 pitches, and kind of relating it to Carlos Rodon going 6 innings, 88 pitches, apples to oranges, completely different. Frankie Montas had terrible outings, and I know they don't matter. Their rehab starts, and you're trying to get right. You will sign up for, I think I said last night, because baseball is baseball. I was like, he'll probably go 6 innings shutout baseball, not giving up anything, because baseball is like that. He goes 5. gives you 5 strikeouts. You sign up for 80 pitches, 5 innings, 5 strikeouts from Frankie Montas in a time like this. You sign up for that 10 times out of 10. He did enough. But then you got to go to Brazoban. DFA him. Get him up out of here. He's been terrible. He comes in, walks the bases loaded, and what do they have to go to 3 different relievers in the inning? And it's just the impending doom. It's this feeling of like the Braves, they will not back down. Shout out to Nicholas in my chat who said, the Mets are the Braves' oxygen. This team was dead in the beginning of the year. This team is now 5-0 against the Mets. And there is something about the orange and blue. They are never out of the game. The game is never over. They are never worried. They have a confidence. They got a swagger about them. Like Strider striking out Soto, telling him, yeah, that pitch is right down the middle. It wasn't even close to down the middle. It was kind of inside, borderline, whatever. But yeah, they bounce back because you go to the bullpen and the bullpen can't hold it down. You go to the bullpen and the bullpen is walking guys. The bullpen is struggling. Brazoban has been so bad, you can't rely on him. There's nowhere to pitch him. There's nowhere to put him. They gave the game away. They absolutely gave that lead away, and you could tell the Mets were defeated. SNY is panning through the crowd to all the fans. The fans are defeated. Brazoban only gets 1 out. Castillo can't get an out. He gives it up. Garrett gives it up, and it's just like, well, damn, just that fast. They put a 5 spot up in the 6th inning and have the lead. Then later on, they tack on 2 more, and it's like, that's game. That's game. And the Mets do rally late, but ultimately it's not enough. So we'll get into the ins and outs of it. But, you know, what I'll say is the Mets offense, again, only had 2 hits before the late rally. 2 hits is not good enough. And 3 runs is not enough against the Braves with a shaky bullpen where they're going to say the bullpen's tired, the bullpen's taxed. Obviously, the Mets are ravaged by injuries. You get a bad update today going into the game. Sean Manaea had a setback. Sean Manaea got shut down from throwing. He's not going to throw for 2 to 3 days. There's a loose body in his left elbow. Like, that's not good. You need that guy, especially as much as we're talking about the Mets needing a stopper and an ace and somebody to come in here and stabilize things that just can go like 7 innings and not give anything up, rest the bullpen, and get you a win. Let's hear from the pseudo captain, the leader of the team, Francisco Lindor, about facing the Braves. There is something about the Braves and the Mets, and the Braves are 5-0, and they do not fear the Mets. And in any sort of game, the Mets just find a way to give them the game. Let's hear what Lindor had to say about Atlanta.
Why have the Braves been so difficult for you this season? I don't know. If I were to pinpoint something, they have outplayed us. They have played better defense, ran the bases better, they hit better. They did overall. They have done everything better than us. So, just you got to tip your cap, but come back tomorrow and try to win.
Let's get to the phones. 888-808-1019. You know, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. It's one thing to lose 5 games. It's one thing to lose 6 games, lose back-to-back series. For the Yankees, they are finding ways to lose, and they are kind of, you know, having some self-inflicted wounds from ejections. Judge has an opportunity to come up clutch and can't. What else from this game? I don't know. I'll let you guys get to it. Jazz, and then, you know, Boone's decision to take out Huffin and Puffin Rodon, and Loizaga sucks, and we end up with Mark Leiter Jr. Why is Mark Leiter Jr. the guy? I didn't see the bullpen budget tonight. I missed that. But Mark Leiter Jr. pitched the night before, and now he's pitching like Devin Williams had 9 pitches. How did the Yankees, somebody explain it to me. How did the Yankees decide who can go 2 innings and who can't? Sometimes they like to bring guys back out. Sometimes they don't. It's not the number of pitches. It varies from day to day, game to game, series to series. Like, I have no idea. Let's go down to AC and talk to Harold first on the fan. What's up, Harold? You got it.
Bro, the answer is Aaron Bleeping Boone. I don't care what anybody says. You want to know why the starting rotation is the only thing we can count on?
Matt Blake. He's the best coach on the team.
No, it's because it's the only thing that Aaron Boone It's the guys you know. It's Rodon. It's, you know what I mean? We got our starting rotation. Everything else, but like, why is there a different hitter around Aaron Judge every night? Why do we have a different leadoff hitter every day? Why is Goldschmidt off some days he plays? Why is Volpe and Wells still batting back to back? It's all garbage. It's a little league team. Like, real talk, listen, give me 30 seconds. My nephew plays for a traveling team, and they're terrible. And you know why? Because they let everybody play. Everybody's got to do something different every night. It's the management. It's boom, bro. Like, why is, you said it yourself, why Mark Leiter's horrible? He should get no burn at all.
Or throw him first. Like, and if he pitched the night before, how do you default into him being the guy with the game on the line? It doesn't make sense. Thanks for the call, Harold. And like, I mean, I look at Cashman. You built the roster. You built the team. We have too many guys for certain positions and only one guy for certain positions. So, like, why does the lineup change? Because you got to find a way to put Ben Rice in there. Shout out to Benny Blanco Arroz. That ball was cooked. Felt good about that one when, you know, Chase Burns gives up a homer to Ben Rice. Make sure you guys are voting for Ben Rice as the all-star DH. Felt good about that. You know? It's just like too many little things that show the like cracks in their armor. There's too many little things that make you scratch your head where you're like, this doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Moose is in Jamaica on the fan. What's up, Moose?
You're Keith. What it do?
Just taking L's, and then I got to sit at home, watch these L's, and put my notes together, and then drive over here and talk to everybody and act like this is cool. Act like this is okay. Let me just be positive, Keithy. No biggie. This too
Not
shall
even
pass.
that. Like the Yankees are in a bad one, bro.
Slumps happen. Everybody. This happens to everybody. This is happening to the White Sox, the Twins right now. Don't worry about it.
And I'm still riding, Keith. I'm just not drinking 40s and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes per day. I'm not going to lose no sleep over that. I might have trouble sleeping tonight, but I'll eventually wind into it. But like, remember what I said yesterday? I put my money that the Yankees would win, but I didn't because I know some BS would happen. And
That's
is the
another
BS,
thing.
right?
I haven't been betting. I don't know the last time I don't know the last time I put a bet on the Yankees. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of time. There's nowhere to bet.
I won like 2 parlays in April when they were smashing baseballs like nobody's business. But like, this is the BS. It's 110 degrees with humidity, heat index, and Jonathan Loaizaga coming into the game with flu-like symptoms. Not saying he's Jordan or whatever, notwithstanding, not necessarily blaming Boone, but you got to protect the player from himself. He probably said, hey, he probably asked Loaizaga, do you think you can come in the game if it's not too tight? So, and it was like, all right, I can go in, coach. No, you put in Mark Leiter Jr. You put in somebody else because you really need this. It's a game in June, so it doesn't matter so much. But this is the thing. You need to win series to stay ahead of the people behind you because they're so close now. Because mentally, in terms of sports, you need confidence and it needs to build.
Yeah, that's another thing. Loaizaga kind of like signaled for the trainer, and I don't know what to believe, man. I don't understand. Like,
me either. Anyway, thanks for taking my call, G.
Thanks for the call. We got to add that component too. Rodon was huffing and puffing. Rodon day is done at 6 innings, 88 pitches. So then you go to a guy that is sick or not feeling right. I think I saw Greg Joyce said Loaizaga felt wiped out in the heat after being under the weather yesterday. Make it make sense to me. If he was sick yesterday, why is he the first guy out of the pen? Does that not change your beep boop computer plans? No, there's not enough heartbeat. There's not enough human element to these decisions. Loaizaga hasn't been good on top of being sick the day before. Is he good to go or not? It's hot out there, yeah, but these guys are human beings. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And then, like, supposedly he was hurt, like he strained something. I don't know what to believe. I see all the stuff that came out on Twitter, and I'm like, to me, it seems weak as hell. It seems like excuses after the fact. Why are you warming up? Why are you taking the ball? Why are they calling on you? I don't know. Somebody fill me in. I don't know. I'll go look in the post game and see if they got Loaisiga to speak or if they got Boone to speak about it. Was he sick yesterday? Okay, if he was sick yesterday, I guess he cleared it and was good to go today. And the lane for him was the 7th inning. And then once he started throwing and he waved over at the train, I don't know. It's just excuses. I think it's excuses after the fact, after you don't perform, after you give it up, after things don't go your way. It's like, yeah, it's hot. It's hot for everybody. Dan is out on Long Island on the Fan. What's up, Dan?
Hey, Keith, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Hey, what's going on, Keith? How you doing? Yeah, I just wanted to touch on one thing. I don't think you can put any of the blame on Carlos Rodon or any of the Yankee pitching staff. I mean, I think you would take 6 innings, 88 pitches any day. I think the main concern is our lineup right now. I mean, it's honestly, it's so hard to watching Jazz and Volpe go back to back. I mean, Volpe was throwing the bat further than he was hitting the ball in the past 2 games. I just want to know what your thoughts are on the lineup. I really don't think you can put any of the blame on the pitching staff.
I mean, I'm going to put blame on Boone. I'm going to put blame on Rodon because I'm going off past history. Rodon, and he said it himself, usually he fights to stay out there, but he was huffing and puffing. So be in better shape and fight for us and ask to go back out in the 7th. 88 pitches to me is a number where your day is not done. You weren't struggling. You were cruising. And yeah, it was hot, whatever. I'm not necessarily like blaming the loss on you. They're all shouldering blame. But then when you look at the lineup, yeah, Volpe had an opportunity right after Jazz. And of course, once again, it falls on Volpe with 2 outs and he strikes out. And it's hard to have any confidence and faith there. The lineup didn't do enough again. Runners left on base, not enough hits. And I think they took their foot off the gas some after that 3-run inning. But I think 3 runs against the Cincinnati Reds, if you played it right, should have been enough for you to get that win or just be in better position. So, I mean, as you look at the lineup, Volpe was, and you know what? Volpe had that triple. I'm not mad at Volpe tonight so much. I mean, if you're talking about him throwing the bat, that was 2 games ago. That was the game before. Wells was 0 for 4 tonight. And when you got to extras, Wells, terrible at bat, first pitch swing and pops one up. They're all at fault, man. It's not good enough. It hasn't been good enough. And to break out of a funk, to break out of this losing and just low IQ baseball, everybody's got to be locked in. And I feel like guys were, I think guys are not locked in. I think Rodon was like, yeah, it's good enough. Did my job. I'm hot. I'll come out of the game. And it's like, fight for us, man. Have some better at-bats. Jazz, think about the team and not yourself and your ego and winning an argument with somebody. It's a lose-lose situation. You can't win an argument with the ump. You're going to lose that every single time. Robbie and Lennox on the Fan. What's up, Robbie?
Hey, Keith. How you doing? Thanks for taking the call. Well, let's start, first of all. I didn't watch the first few innings of this game. I flipped it on. All of a sudden, Ben Rice hits a homer. All of a sudden, they're up 3-0. You're feeling good, okay? So I flipped on the Met game. I see the Mets are tied 3-3. All of a sudden, the Braves go up. I flip back on the Yankee game, right? I'm looking at the 9th inning. So let's start with what you talked about with Carlos Rodon, okay? I watched Al Leiter throw 142 pitches in the World Series. That was only 25 years ago. Like, what has happened to the guts of starting pitchers? You want to demand the boy. Think Roger Clemens or Randy Johnson or any of the guys that I love watching growing up pitching. Think any of these guys or anybody like Ron Guidry or Catfish or anybody I saw was going to sit there at 88 pitches.
That's what I'm saying. Shout out to Dan, the last caller. Like, oh, you'll take that any day from Rodon. No. 88 pitches is not enough. Continue.
Exactly.
Fight. I don't care that you're tired.
Right.
You're paid $27 million a year to play a game. You should be in better condition. You know it's going to be hot. Go out there and try and get the first batter out. Then if you give up a single, we'll take you out.
Right. Loaisiga's been terrible all year, which bothers me. But here's what kills me. And this is why I can't stand Aaron Boone. Besides the fact he doesn't get Rodon out for the 7th inning. Let's talk about the 9th inning tonight, okay? Cody gets a base hit. Okay, I know Wells is 0 for 3 at the time, and I'm not asking Austin Wells to bunt. But what about Cody Bellinger? Can you at least give the guy a chance to steal an effing base before Wells is allowed to swing the damn bat? And then Jazz comes up, and Cody Bellinger pitcher at the end of the inning is still stuck on first base. I mean, Aaron Boone, can you get your head out of your rear end and let guys steal bases? Or at least for crying out loud, if Anthony Volpe can only get a bunt down, it's just like you haven't gotten a hit since the fifth inning, and you scored 3 runs. Can anybody? I've said this a million times, Keith, and I know I'm being repetitive, but can anybody just lay one down and get the hell on base and try to manufacture a run? It drives me crazy. Here's a great stat for you, Keith, and this shows the stupidity of Aaron Boone. I know, and the non-situational hitting of this team, which is, by the way, put together by Brian Cashman, who hasn't been able to find a leadoff hitter in 15 years. But I mean, what drives me crazy is this team is 13 and 27 since the damn Ghost Runner was put into effect in Major League Baseball. Now, you please explain to me how this team, with supposedly all this talent and this lineup and this great general manager we've had for the last, umpteen time, I mean, why does this team stink so bad in extra innings? Why can't this team ever just hit the ball and make contact? You know what Joe Torre used to say, Keith? Small bites. Thinking small bites. Everybody's up trying to kill the ball, like you say all the time. And thanks for the time, buddy. I know you got calls, but, it's only June. I understand that. But come on, man. Get some run for...
I know, I hear you. It's only June, but it's not only June for us. We've seen this for years. Like, other people saying, oh, it's June. We're not freaking out saying that they're not going to get to the postseason. We're not freaking out saying that the World Series is off the table. The division is off the table, even though they're flirting with, losing that division lead. What we're saying is, we've seen these same things for too long. And it's like every single year, how come it doesn't get fixed? There can be new players in those jerseys, and it's the same thing. And that's why people point at Aaron Boone. The Yankees have 5 losses when leading by multiple runs at the start of the 7th inning. That's the most in MLB this season. Is that good? Katie Sharp reports that. Is that a sign of a good team? No, they find ways to lose. They're blowing games. The Yankees have lost 9 of their last 12 games against the Red Sox, the Angels, the Orioles, and the Reds. Max Goodman reported that. Is that good? Does that sound good to you guys? The almighty Yankees, World Series favorites, first place Yankees. Someone said to me, oh, you're crying in first place. Bro, what the hell does first place mean on June 24th, June 23rd? I know where we are in the standings. Potentially not for long. They had a 7-game lead. It's down to 1 now. The Yankees are 1-6 in extra innings this season. The Yankees are 12-27 in road games of 10-plus innings since 2020. That's the worst record in MLB over that span. You guys picking up what I'm putting down? Phil is in Sheepshead Bay. Welcome back, Phil.
Hey, Keith. Yeah. Keith, I don't know, between the Yankees and the Mets, I don't know which manager knows how to use the bullpen. And if so, do they look at the weather and say, hey, let's use a guy who hasn't been in here 2 or 3 days in a row? What's happening with that?
There's always lanes. There's always a bullpen budget, somebody whose day it is to throw. We also got to put it on Brazoban sucked. Loizaga sucked. I don't have an excuse for Brazoban. He looked like he was just mad at himself. Thanks for the call, Phil. Loizaga, now we're hearing 2 things. I didn't hear that he was sick until the caller just said it. And I guess some people online said he wasn't sick today. Like, if you could be sick yesterday and then go to work the next day and be like, yeah, I'm good. I slept it off. I had some medicine, whatever. I ate some good food. I'm good. Like, if you're sick, then you shouldn't be available. But then Loizaga called for the trainer where he exited the game with an injury. And I'm like, was he hurt or was his feelings hurt? And if he was sick the day before, how does he get penciled in to be the first guy out of the bullpen after Rodon throws 88 pitches? It's not good enough, yo. And Brazoban, trash. Been trash. And that game unraveled so fast in that 6th inning, and it was just like you could feel it coming. And it wasn't like the Braves hit the ball out of the ballpark. It wasn't like the Braves just... The Mets, let's see how many walks did the Mets have today? Because they give them the game. I think there was a game in Truist Park where they had a bunch of walks. 9 walks, you're giving them the game. You're giving them bases. You're giving them opportunity. Vito out on Staten Island on the Fan in New York. What's up, Vito?
What's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
Okay.
I just want to talk a little bit about the Mets. They I can't stand watching this Jeff McNeil, Francisco Alvarez. Since they've been back, it's like a spark plug got taken out of the team. You had guys that were stealing bases. Jeff McNeil gets stuck first base constantly. He's not a good defender, and they just run him out there constantly.
Hey, he came through today, but I know he had been in a little bit of a down stretch since he had a couple good runs against, I think, Colorado, maybe the Nationals, and then he was in a little bit of a down stretch. And Francisco Alvarez is literally down two ways. He's down with Syracuse, and they pulled him out of the game today because of like heat, fatigue. I forget what they wrote it as. Let me go back to my notes. Yeah, heat dizziness. He left the AAA Syracuse game today.
Yeah, it's like these guys they don't have it in them anymore. They pull it. When Acuna and those guys were playing, we had a spark plug. Everybody wanted to, it looked like there was some excitement. There's no excitement in this team anymore.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. And I think specifically against the Braves, there's something about impending doom against the Braves, and the Braves have this attitude of like, we own you. Thanks for the call, Vito. 888-808-1019. Ross in Bergen County back on the fan. Ross, your internet good? Your Wi-Fi good? You good?
Yeah, sorry about yesterday, bro. They had us in the dorm, bro. It was like the barracks, bro. I guess with no Wi-Fi, nothing. So yeah, sorry about yesterday. I'll say this, bro. New day, same Mets. Same Mets. You said it before, and look, I even left a comment on your live stream. I saw the Montes having a good first start because everything with this team, what should happen never does. And on the same token, now you see Sean Manaea. You talk about two current Mets, two former Athletics, one on a long-term deal, one on a year with an opt-out. And the guy who had the 15 ERA against the high schoolers, who has this opt-out coming up, just like all the guys from last year on the Magic Carpet Ride, he deals for 5 innings, and you just name-drop Brazaban, who was like, we saw him for the first 2 months. He was kind of, the whole storyline, this is what we were supposed to get last year, and all of a sudden now we're seeing again what we had last year down the stretch. He's unplayable. Stanik's unplayable. I mean, just one by one, bro, the dominoes are falling. Like the 5 through 9 with the lineup, forget it. I think I saw you in the Twitter space today. I was saying, it's every lineup. If your 5 through 9 is good, that's almost a luxury. But I think it's the fact that our 5 through 9 is basically all homegrown minus Jared Young. That's the problem. That's the reason why I see it being a problem. And just overall, man, when it rains it pours, nothing's going right. And I think we're legit going to look at that Tampa game, the Paul Blackburn blown lead, for months and maybe even years to come if this spirals even more than it has already. Because a three-game losing streak turned into 5, into what is it now, 10 out of 11? This is no joke no more. The biggest shills on the app are now, turning face now. This is no joke, bro. This is who they are.
Thanks for the call, Ross. Unfortunately, yeah, when I Saturday at Fanatics Fest, I said I was disappointed in the Mets because they're letting this happen. They've had leads, and they've let these things happen. They should have beat the Braves today. If they could have locked it down, if they could have added more hits, more runs, that's a game you should win. You took an early 3-run lead. You couldn't sustain it for 2 innings. Against the Phillies, against the Braves last week. That first game of the Braves series where Tyrone Taylor balled out and you got that first homer from Juan Soto. You got to win that game. And then going back to the Tampa, these are games that you can't cough up. These are games that good teams with good managers do not cough up. They make sure that those wins, they can put them in the books. So here we are. Both teams are in a terrible stretch. Both teams are just like searching for answers. How did we start the season off so good? April and May. And now we're in this rut of like what? Make it make sense. And when you lose like this, sure, they're going to keep it even keeled and say, yep, turn the page tomorrow. But as fans, we start to pick them apart. With the Mets, there's not really anything good. The only thing from tonight is Frankie Montas' debut. Frankie Montas had a command of his fastball. I think he didn't have that many walks. He had some strikeouts, and he was able to give you 5 scoreless innings, 80 pitches. Good compared to what you saw out of his rehabs. And they were able to score some runs. Brett Beatty stay hot, but the bullpen is an issue. You need improvements. You need health. And your lineup still. Not for nothing. That's not enough. you got to be able to battle back. Guys like Brandon Nimmo, Ofer, Pete Alonso had a hit, but like, got to drive in runs. Juan Soto, 2 walks, not able to drive him in. Bottom of the lineup did enough today. You got a hit out of Mauricio and an RBI late. You had Brett Beatty. He had 2 hits the other night. He had another hit. Two was able to on that single to drive 2 runs in. Jared Young late with the pinch hit. But ultimately, it's on the bullpen. That 6th inning, you can't have 3 guys come in to get you those 3 outs, and then you end up giving up 5 runs because you walk guys, and all they got to do is hit a sac fly and just play simple baseball. Just put the pressure on you. They're laughing. Where the Braves are like, that was not hard at all. That was easy as Matt Olson getting going, and here we are, 7-4, Mets lose, and the Yankees lose 5-4 in 11 innings because they don't have a shot in extras. Ellie De La Cruz didn't even know, bro. 888-808-1019. Ellie De La Cruz didn't even know his score. He didn't run through second to third on that single. It didn't even matter. Wild pitch from Leiter, runners advance. You know what happened after that. It's not crisp enough. It's not clean enough. It's not smart enough baseball, and that's how you end up getting got. Because those guys on the other side, they get paid millions too. They drive fancy cars, and they want to beat you too. So we'll continue the conversation around it. Yankee fans, Met fans, weigh in. Tell me your pain points. What grinds your gears? What's bothering you about the team? Is it a player? Is it multiple players? Is it the pitching? Is it the hitting? Is it the bullpen? Is it the manager? Keith McPherson on the fan dial, 888-808-1019. Show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser. We'll be right back.
You're juggling work, life, and receiver.
All right, switch back to Mike on my MacBook. Let's see what the chat is talking about. Try and go backwards. Rodon is backing up Boone just like Boone does the players. That's what I said. At least they had their stories in order. At least they had their stories together, man. But that pissed me off. That's why I made the analogy of like MTA workers. Okay, Jazz spoke to me on Twitter. Let's see what he's saying. Let's see. I'm not trying to go back and forth with Jazz, bro. I'm really not, because I'm a Jazz supporter, bro. 100% support the guy. But like this tonight did not help it didn't help the team, bro. So I replied to the Yes Network's video of him post game, where I said the job is not to impress your fans, my guy. We gotta win the game. Think about everybody else. We need you in there. He said the only way to impress fans is to play good, my guy. What else would I be meaning? And if I ain't say nothing to you, I shouldn't be thrown out of the game. Video is right there. Yeah, but these umpires got a God complex. And I gotta respond. Videos are. Yeah, but we all know these umpires have a God complex. You can't win against them. They aren't held accountable, but can hold you up for anything. The call was ridiculous. The ejection was even more so, but just gotta know cooler heads prevail. These umps are on higher ground. Onward. Yeah, but we all know these umpires have a god complex. You can't win against them. They aren't held accountable, but can hold you up for anything. Call was ridiculous. The ejection was even more so. But just gotta know cooler heads prevail. These umps are on higher ground. Onward. Yeah. It's not about, and like, bro, I do not care. Like, this is so stupid, bro. My boss texted me. Not about that. Not nothing bad, but just like weighing in. Yeah. I never actually met Jazz, I don't think, but I'll look forward to it one day. Let me see. Can I pull the I can send this to Jazz. That ball was down. This is what happened, y'all. When like, show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. Like, I hate losing. And like, when you lose, everyone is mad at everybody. All right, let's get back. Right back at it on the Fan in New York. Your nighttime host, Keith McPherson, talking sports. We're going to continue with the Yankees and Mets conversation and the losing conversation. We'll eventually get to the NBA draft. Good morning. The NBA draft is tonight. But, I just was talking about Jazz and Rodon. And you know what? When you lose, you're pointing the finger at everybody. The fans are mad at everybody. The players, they're not feeling good about it. And like, as much as we try to turn the page and say, yeah, tomorrow and get back at, like, I'm a Jazz supporter. I think I've been pretty supportive of Jazz from the jump. Went to the team store, bought his player tee as soon as he came here. I've been very, outspoken about his swag, his energy, his personality, and how that's needed. I talked about how the Yankees just did the Prince of the City video with him. He rapped a little bit. He showed his cat. I think that he is a great player for this team to have, but I think he can mess it up for himself with the temperament and the antics and some of the extra things. And I just want him to be careful. He may be watching this live stream right now on my Twitter because he's interacting with me right now on Twitter. And my frustration was, and I told you, he said something at the end of his interview, And I went on the Yes Network, and at the end of the interview, he said, like, we have a job to do. My job is to impress my fans. Your job is to call the game. And I replied, I said, the job is not to impress your fans, my guy. We got to win the game. Think about everybody else. We need you in there. And he said, the only way to impress fans is to play good, my guy. What else would I be meaning? And if I ain't say nothing to you, I shouldn't be thrown out of the game talking about the umpire. He said, the video is right there. Now, look, let's go back to the Jazz thing. And I just responded and I said, we all know these umpires have a God complex. You can't win against them. They aren't held accountable, but can hold you up for anything. Call was ridiculous. The ejection was even more so. But just got to know, cooler heads prevail. These umps are on higher ground, onward. And I even attached the image of, like, we all saw it, bro. We watched the game. And listen, the called strike 3, it was so down and out of the zone. And I felt like Jazz let that affect the rest of his at-bat. And then it got him kicked out of the game because he carried that emotion onto the field where, yeah, the umpire's staring and looking at him because the umpire has the authority. The umpire is calling the game and has the power to eject you. So they're going to check you because that's all they can do. They're not you, Jazz. They don't have fans. They're not you, Jazz. They don't play for the New York Yankees. Nobody knows who they are until now. And like, they're always on a power trip. It sucks. Welcome to the ump show. It absolutely sucks. What's this guy's name? Mark Wagner? And so, yeah, Jazz, you can go out and shake his hand the next day, but ultimately we lose the game and you get thrown out of the game. You're not able to run. You're not able to hit. You're not able to run. You're not able to field to potentially help win the game for the New York Yankees. 888-808-1019. Martin is in Rockland on the Fan. What's up, Martin?
Hey, what's up? Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Been better. This whole thing is whack. Like, I want them to get back to winning series and playing good baseball and, like, us being able to laugh and smile and joke about how fun this is not fun.
Agree, 100%. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. I mean, you're talking about Jazz and it's the second time he's been thrown out about something with the umpire, and it could be upsetting. It could be this. And yeah, I understand why you're going at him, but I mean, also one of the things you were going at, like, at Carlos Rodon, yeah? And I understand the point, like, so you should fight for us, but what we've seen, and it was with Judge when he had 2 home runs one night after the other, and he told Boone, if I have 2 home runs, will you not give me the day off? And Boone said no, he still gave him the day off, and since then he hasn't been the same. So what we've seen with all these players, that you can fight, you can do whatever you want. Boone says something, there's no discussing it with him, there's no arguing with him. He said something, he made a decision, and that's about it with that. That's number one. I wanted to say that about Rodon. I mean, Loizaga, I don't know if he wasn't feeling well yesterday, if he was feeling well yesterday, but first of all, why are you bringing him out to such a situation when he's not been good? That's number one. And number two, since when do the Yankees bring out their closer in the bottom of the 9th when it's a tie game and they're not home? Since when do we do that, especially with no plan for the bottom of the 10th? We led at the bottom of the 10th, and then we bought out. Who did we bring out? That's the
Mark
I don't know since when we do that.
That's what I need answers for too, Martin. And that's why I go back to the script and these lanes. They thought that game was going to potentially end 3-0, going Loizaga 7th, Weaver 8th, Devin Williams 9th. Loizaga gives it up, and they go to Weaver, and Weaver does what he has to do, and then Devin Williams does what he has to do in 9 pitches. So to me, why can't you bring Devin Williams out? Why is today a day that Devin Williams only goes 1 inning? Why is today a day that 9 pitches, okay, we're going to sit him down in favor of going to Mark Leiter Jr. for 2 innings with the game and series on the line?
Agree. One more thing I wanted to say about the Yankees is about Boone, and if it's Boone, if it's the back office, I'm not sure who it is, but it's playing players, all different types of players, not giving anyone enough playing time. If you believe in transition and you think he's going to jump back up to what he was in the beginning of the season, take Dominguez and give him every night games in the minor leagues. They're the same thing with Wells. You believe so much in Wells, but he's not good. You want Rice to play. Give Rice every night as catcher, and let Wells go get some weathering in the minor leagues. He'll play every night. Dominguez will play every night, and they'll be able to become better. They're still young enough to be able to go down back to the minor leagues for half a season. And once you give up on Wells, then once you give up on Grisham, bring back up Dominguez. Once you figure out what you're doing about Rice with this whole situation, because one of the things we think is Rice is going to be our future first baseman, so that's why you want him at first. You want to have him here, and he's been better now. So leave Rice up here for the whole end of the season to be the catcher. Have Sky as a backup catcher. Take Wells, let him go down to the minors, and let him work on his bat. I mean, you see him some nights have these crazy 9, 10, 11 pitch at bats where he's fouling off and he's fighting you, and then you see him coming out the night and he's so bad. So like, let him go down, let him get some, let him teach, let him get some.
Thanks for the call, Martin. They're not going to do that. They're not sending Austin Wells down. Austin Wells is their starting catcher, their number one catcher. Ben Rice just got his first start behind the dish last week. Escara wasn't even in baseball. You know what I'm saying? And then as far as sending down Dominguez, he's got to be here. What has happened is Trent Grisham was supposed to be a fourth outfielder, and he's played over his head. And I think now they're in a spot where they don't know how to continue getting that out of Grisham. I don't think it's at the leadoff spot, but you need his defense in center field for sure. And he's able in Yankee Stadium to pop one over the right field fence, and he's got homers. And I don't know, man. There's just so many different layers to things. I also think they like having the bench that they have. They like having the options late in game who to pinch hit. So they're not sending Dominguez down. They're not sending Wells down. They're not sending Volpe down. They're not sending any of these guys down. These guys are part of the team. And that's not the problem. The problem is these guys not hitting consistently enough. And the problem tonight is decisions. And excuse me, I kept leaving out the fact that Fernando Cruz came in to relieve Loaizaga. So after Loaizaga gave up the walk, the single, I mean, they had a mound visit in between. Encarnacion doubled, and Trevino scored, and Trevino was pumped up. Trevino was trolling the whole time. You guys see this today. He came out, and his walk-up song was was it Rooster by Alice in Chains? That was Rodon's walk-up song. Yesterday he came out with Judge's walk-up. Trevy's over there having a great time. You traded me over here. I signed an extension with these guys. I get to play with Ellie De La Cruz. Having fun. They got to get back to having fun, too. Baseball's supposed to be fun. None of this is fun. None of this is fun. Talking about, these little decisions and Jazz and Boone and Rodon and why didn't this guy go longer and what was up with Loaizaga. You say, like, we are nitpicking everything because we can't believe that we're losing these games like this. When you win, winning cures all. And there's not so much to go over and comb through and analyze and overanalyze. We're overanalyzing. Let's talk Mets. 888-808-1019. Josh is in Passaic on the Fan. What's up, Josh?
Yo, Keith, what's popping, my guy?
It just, nothing's popping. We're losing. It sucks. And we're all kind of just going at each other and looking for answers and trying to figure out how to fix this and also where we went wrong. And where we're going wrong is just mistakes and not playing well enough. And I don't know, rooting for July. Hopefully when the Mets and Yankees meet up 4th of July weekend, hopefully they come in. I mean, that series has no juice now, but hopefully they come out of it and they can right the ship.
Before I get to the Mets, with all the stuff I hear, this Aaron Boone, that Aaron Boone, how could you do this, how could you do that? It almost makes you ask the question, do Yankees fans believe that Aaron Boone's trying to self-implode the team?
No, but if you took a poll amongst Yankee fans on Yankee Twitter, do you believe Aaron Boone is the right manager to lead the Yankees to a World Series? I think you probably get a 60-40 lean. No, I think 60% of the fans right now, every day I'm reading that. Every day I'm reading.
Talk about this guy. It's they make it he's purposely trying to he's the only thing he can't mess up is starting pitching. That's the only thing he can't manipulate.
But check me out, bro. Even when they win, people are coming at Boone. They rest Volpe and win the game. If you were saying, why are you resting Volpe? You cooled him off. They pull Clark Schmidt. They win the game. Why are you pulling Clark Schmidt? You robbed us of a no-hitter. It's ridiculous. He can't win. He's in a situation as the Yankee manager. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right, it's one of those famous lines. I can't remember like all the words, but like, if they don't like you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. You're gonna get a hate for it. And any time he has any decision, no matter what he does, he's wrong because he could have left. Because even if he leaves the right guy in, maybe this guy could have one hit, or this guy could have gone another inning. And it's just funny. But anyway, before we get to the Mets, one of our boys was by the Mets game tonight, sitting behind the plate. Ace Bailey comes out, the guy, the big dog, got it cut down. He's supposed to go to, possibly going to the Sixers and stuff. And then he's cut it. Then he decides he's not going to do his workout. This guy starts screaming after he does like his first pitch. He's a big Philly fan. And he's like, yo, Ace, come on. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to, how could you leave us? We had you, this, that. And it's pretty wild. Yeah, he put it on Steel City on X. If you want to go back and see what he said, it's pretty wild. But anyway, speaking of actually going,
I didn't pick up any of that you just said. I have no idea what Ace Bailey did. So he was throwing out the first pitch at the Met game, and then he said what to who, and who is Steel City?
He was walking. Yeah, we're on it. He was walking towards. He was about to leave, and the scout was behind the plate. Started, yelling out to him. This fan was a big Philly fan. He was upset that he decided to cut his workout with them. He started giving him all the stuff about Sixers stuff or something, and trying to put some funny response to it. So it's on Steel City on X if you want to check it out. But speaking of going to games, and my father offered me like a nice ticket to the game tomorrow night, and I was thinking like when I wanted to visit my brother. He's been in the college since the beginning of the year. I haven't been there, and I was debating like what to do, and I'm like, I don't know, like the Mets don't really make me want to go there. I really want to drive an hour there. It's terrible weather. Yeah, they have fireworks after, but like they like all the press and stuff. And they're showing you, Keith, why Mets fans are always going to be glass half empty. This looked like a great year. They were missing two starting pitchers, possibly the number 1 and number 3, number 4 guy, and the pitching was not normal. And they were winning with the lineup being not that great. And we all kept on saying, just wait till this lineup hits until these two pitchers come back. The bullpen's amazing, even when they drop this guy, even when they drop that guy. And now you look a few weeks later, and Atlanta is like somehow is like the new enigma for the Mets. And it's Mets fans want to still wonder, like, can they still blame like Sal Licata for any bad luck that goes down with Atlanta?
No, and it's not new. It's been consistent like for a long time. I think for as long as I can remember, the Braves owning the Mets, and it's eerie now from 2022 where the Braves walked the Mets down to win a division. And then last year we thought they exercised some demons, right? That's the phrase that's been used from game 161 with them winning in Atlanta to go to the postseason. But now where we are, they're 5-0. The Braves are 5-0 against the Mets. It doesn't make any sense. The Braves don't fear the Mets at all. And it seems like as soon as things go wrong, the Mets start to melt and wilt, and they're just like, we're never going to beat these guys. Like, we can't beat them. Like, no matter what we do, they've played 5 different games against the Braves and found a way to lose them 5 different ways.
Right. It's and you think about it probably as a non-Mets fan, it's probably entertaining. And that when Sal did come out and say that, it was after they did beat, I think it was they beat them like a 4-game series or whatever it was. They had them a little bit then. There was great games, and it's just hard because you want to have your confidence. You want to keep on telling yourself, new season. We don't even have to use the 2024 vibes with the latest OMG, and they kind of just flip on their face right now. It's like where do you want us to have the confidence, and like what do we expect to change? And nobody really thinks they're going to go trade deadline heavy because they love every single prospect they have, because the 25 of them are all going to work out like we clearly see in front of our faces, which each one of you can go. They're not going to go the whole prospect rant, but this just shows you like who cares about the one guy that goes to Chicago, because for every him, there's 25 of them that don't come out great. So you want to build a team, you want to win championships. There's no point of waiting 5 years if you can win one now, win one next year. And who knows with that, but whatever it is, kids. Oh, you talk. Thanks for taking my call. Have a great night.
Thanks for the call, Josh. I don't know. David Stern spoke today, and I think he kind of tried to just smooth things over, hit you also with the "this too shall pass" and that this is regular. His quote was, "I think I've been through some semblance of these 2 weeks in every year of my career with every team, including a lot that were really good teams." I think he still believes this Mets team is a really good team. I think he does know that there's help on the way as far as injuries and guys getting healthy, guys coming back. And he also knows he has the power to make trades and add good players to his team, pitchers to his team, hitters to this team. So I don't think he's panicking at all. It's just something you got to go through. And you built up at least a little bit of a cushion because of the way that you started the season. But changes got to be made. And the first change that has to be made is the players have to take it, like they have to take the bull by the horns. They have to take advantage of opportunities and take the game in front of them. You know, there was a narrative when the Mets were playing these lesser teams like the Rockies, like the Nationals, that, they're not going to face them. But I mean, I was on air saying they should have swept the Dodgers. They could have beat the Dodgers all 4 of those games in Chavez Ravine. But they found a way to blow 2 of those games. It hurts to watch your team have, you know, the thrill of victory and then have the agony of defeat. Like, I don't know. Ultimately, like, you love the Mets, you love the Yankees, and you're going to keep watching and you're going to keep rooting for them. But this stretch is eerie because it exists on both sides. And like tonight was weird as hell because it was like, yeah, here we go. 3-0 Mets. Yeah, here we go. 3-0 Yankees in the 4th inning. And a couple innings after that, it all unraveled in different fashions, but similar fashions where it's like, yo, we can't get a break. We can't get a break. When we come back, I'll talk about Ace Bailey a little bit because that'll lead also into the conversation around the Brooklyn Nets and what they're doing. Also, the Knicks have interviewed another candidate that is just kind of random. And yeah, it's draft day. NBA draft day coming up live from Brooklyn. I'm like, man, maybe I should go now because it seems like the Nets have the opportunity to really cook. And maybe they get a superstar. Maybe they get back in the lottery. So we'll talk about it. But I still do want to take your Mets calls, your Jazz calls, your Yankees calls. We'll get all of that in. I've got another hour. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Don't go anywhere because I'm coming right back.
It's Boomer and Theo. Mornings on the
He's got some 100-win seasons. He was in the World Series last year. But I just feel like people's faith, people's belief is waning. And I feel like he's not going to get credit for when the lineup he put together on Saturday performed well. He's not going to get credit for decisions like pinch hitting Paul Goldschmidt or, you know, knowing when to take out Tim Hill, or like little things like that in the game. It's all negative. It's just bad. And it's part of the losing streak. And it's not even like we're not in a losing streak, but in this losing 9 out of 12. And again, they've only won day games. They can't win these games under the lights. Everything is under a microscope. Everything is amplified. And so we are literally fighting each other over things that just are regular baseball things. If Loaizaga is if Loaizaga is able to get out of that inning, we're not questioning him being sick the day before. We're not questioning him having an injury and his injury history. We're also not questioning how hot it was and Rodon's ability to go more than 88 pitches in 6 innings. And like, I don't know. We're overanalyzing. I'm trying to pull some more David Stearns quotes from what he had to say today. So our job is to get us out of this as quickly as we can. I still think we're a really good team, much better than we played. It's a rut for both, and that's what I said is the craziest part. It's both teams. at the same time. And like tonight was eerie. They both blew 3-0 leads that they both had in the fourth inning. And it was the bullpen. And both starters did what they had to do. All right. What else? We're going to definitely talk about the NBA draft and other stuff. I just hate spending the whole show complaining, crying, talking about nonsense. Huascar Brazoban, 9.72 ERA. Reed Garrett, they're all trash right now. What do the Yankees do well? No leadership top. They were pitching well. That's why I said pulling Rodon, the one thing we could hang our hat on through this stretch is like our starting pitching was going good. Where me, I'm stretching Rodon. I know you're tired, but go out there for the 7th. What's the worst that happens? You give up a solo shot? All right, it's 3-1. But what's the best that happens? You give us 3 outs, and then we've got to get 6 outs with the option of Fernando Cruz, Loaizaga, Weaver, Devin Williams, Mark Leiter Jr. Like, we defaulted into this because we pulled the starter. Ben says he's going to Brooklyn tomorrow to do more man on the street at the draft. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Should be a lot of different fans and people there. Yep, I am wearing the Vince Carter jersey. Yeah, just 88 pitches to me is like, I don't know. Growing up, like I 88 pitches, like, why are you coming out? 88 pitches, you're coming out if you got rocked. You didn't give up anything. You're giving up 4 hits, 88 pitches. I don't care how hot it is. It's hot for everybody there. No, and you guys are crazy. Like, people keep saying, I don't understand. I don't understand Yankee fans that hope to not make the playoffs so that they fire the manager. They could not make the playoffs, and they're going to keep Aaron Boone. Like, they missed the postseason. Aaron Boone's extension is still good. The issue with Jazz for me is that he looked like he decided his at-bat, and the night was over after that. That's what I'm saying, too. That him getting screwed on that call ruined his at-bat, and then he got kicked out of the game.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Frankie Montas gave the Mets more than they could have asked for. 5 scoreless in his debut, but Huascar Brazoban had nothing, giving up 3, walking 3, got just 1 out. Braves scored 5 times in the 6th, rallied for a 7-4 victory. Braves now 5-0 against the Mets this year. The Mets are dropped 10 of 11 overall. Before the game announced Sean Manaea, cortisone shot for his elbow, shut down for a few days. Could make his next rehab start, though, sometime next week. Reds outleft the Yankees 5-4-11. Jonathan Loaizaga gave up 3 in the 7th, wasting 6 scoreless from Carlos Rodon. So was there any thought to letting Rodon start the 7th? Nine losses in 12 games. Bombers lead on the Rays down to 1. And the Nets getting involved in a 3-team deal with the Celtics and Hawks. Kristaps Porzingis in the 2nd rounder to Atlanta. Nets getting Terrence Mann and the 22nd pick, their 5th first-round pick in this year's draft. Boston gets George Niang and a 2nd rounder as they continue to shed salary. 90 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
The 1 a.m. hour on the Fan in New York City, not California. But maybe some of you Cali people are listening with the 3-hour time difference to us over here on the Fan. Keith McPherson on the Fan, bringing it home in the next 50 minutes. Just going back to last night with Carlos Mendoza. Carlos Mendoza said, I feel like the concern now is more like the state of the bullpen and how much we've used those guys. And SNY just flashed like Huascar Brazoban's got a 9.72 ERA this month. Reed Garrett had another high one. These guys are already taxed. The Mets had guys kind of play over their heads to start the season, and now it's kind of catching up to them. Today, Ken Rosenthal was on Foul Territory saying the Mets are experiencing a perfect storm of events that's sort of submerging them right now, and that the deadline is looming more interesting than it might have been, say, 2 weeks ago. But then I also was reading an article today on what David Stearns had to say where, he said it's too early to look at the trade deadline, the trade market. And I agree with him because on June 25th, still more than a month out, so much can change in a month. Look at how much has changed in a month for the Mets and the Yankees. I think they're going to right the ship. And David Stearns, added a bunch of things about, I think we have a really good team. I think certainly we're much better than we've played the last 10 or 12 days. But anytime you go through a stretch like this, it forces you to evaluate the team. And he says his job is to get them out of this as quickly and as well as they can. So they're going to send guys down. They're going to bring guys back. They're going to move things around. They're going to try different things. But it's just a bad rut. It's a bad stretch. And what makes it even worse for the Mets and the Mets fans is that it's coming at the hands of your division rivals. You get swept by the Braves. You lose the series to the Phillies in Philly. And now you're back home where you had this home field advantage. You drop 2 to the Braves today, which ensures that you can't win the series, that you can maybe split the series. And it's just hard to have confidence in that with a taxed bullpen, with a lineup that is not performing the way that it was projected to, with guys in the lineup that aren't performing. And let's see, you have Clay Holmes going, who Clay Holmes needs to bounce back. Clay Holmes has hit a wall. Clay Holmes, how long can he go in the game? Is he going to be able to go deep into the game to give the bullpen a break? And then you have Griffin Canning going in the next game. So it's almost like there's no end in sight. Chuck is in the truck on the Fan. What you thinking about, Chuck?
Man, brutal loss, man. Just brutal stretch of play, bro. It's like brain dead baseball, bro. And it starts with I like to call him Menbozo, man, with the decision making, just how he goes about things. When you think about that crushing loss to Atlanta, game 1, we're up 4-1 in the 8th, and Peterson is coming off a complete game shutout. Now he gives you, 7 strong 1-run ball. And, if you are going to send them back to out there in the 8th, how do you not even have somebody up, At that time, it's time to go to, one batter guy. First guy gets on, Peterson is missing up and away as a lefty. He's tired, man. And I think that played a part in this recent start, where he just didn't have it. And I don't know, who's calling the shots or what does Mendoza even do? How do you have Brett Beatty up here in the 9th and he's got a 3-1 count, bro, and he's swinging with the tying run in the on-deck circle? Unbelievable, man. And it was a low changeup too. It's not even like a heater down the middle or a hanger.
Because not for nothing, bro. Brett Beatty has a few hits in his last, couple games where he's feeling himself. He's thinking he can be the hero. He drove in 2 runs today. He had 2 hits yesterday. Yeah. He's thinking, hey, I can get it done.
I got you, but you can't be the hero when your run at that point is meaningless because the guy in the on-deck circle represents the tying run. If Beatty walked, and that's where, I looked at Mendoza. I remember, earlier in the year, we had the situation like versus the Dodgers when you talked about, we could have swept them. And same type of stuff. You got Acuna, who's young, he's inexperienced, he lacks plate discipline. He's coming up, pitchers, wild, and it's 2-0 count. And then you get Acuna swinging at the next 4 pitches that are out of the zone, and the guy gets stranded on third. Then he comes up later on in the extra inning, 3-0 count, and he's swinging 3-0. It's like, bro, what is the manager doing? Like, why are you not telling these kids here, look, we need to take one here? If he takes that pitch, 3-1, he walks. And then you think Mauricio comes up, hits the double. He didn't miss a home run by all that much, went off the wall. But he hits the double there. You get 2 runs in. It's a 7-5 game. And you got Mauricio on second as the tying run. And, Beatty's on third. Even Lindor grounding out, pulling the ball to Albies at second. Still would be a productive out where the guy from third comes home, and you got a runner in scoring position
at that point, bro.
With Nemo and Soto, bro.
At the end of the game, you were down to your last outs. It was too little, too late. But I hear you, Chuck. Thanks for the call. The game was lost before that. That 5-run 6th inning, you wouldn't be thinking about Brett Beatty's at bat where he was up in the count, and then that game was lost on Brazoban, Castillo, and Garrett. Shout out to Lil Dicky, though. Lil Dicky Lovelady. Richard Lovelady makes his Mets debut, and he comes out clean. And I don't know, man. It's just not positive. There's nothing there. I'm searching for a positive from this game. Frankie Montas showing up and not looking like the AAA version of himself. But tomorrow's another day. Today's a game that you felt like you could have won, though, to right the ship, and they blew it. They had a 3-run lead in the 4th inning, so did the Yankees, and they blew it too. So we're just overanalyzing things at the end of the game where it shouldn't even have came down to that. And, where you are, too, I'm looking at David Stearns. David Stearns, you elected to go with these young kids, these baby Mets, and Vientos is hurt. And you had to send down Alvarez, and you had to send down Acuna, and you had sent Brett Beatty down, and now Brett Beatty is being relied on. And, you could have signed some other guys. You could have added some veterans in the mix. You're going to be expected to do that at the deadline. We understand injuries have hit, and that's why you're relying on the Jared Youngs as well. But, this is a high payroll team. This is a team that the owner challenged the fans to come out to the ballpark and fill that place. You got another 38,000 people there tonight. And like I said, when they go down and they give up those runs in the 6th, SNY is panning through all of Citi Field and looking at the faces of these Mets fans. They're in agony. They're uncomfortable. They're in pain. When will it end? I don't know. SJ is in T-Neck on the Fan next. What's up, SJ?
Hey, Keith. How are you?
I've been better. It sucks. I want to talk about positive things. Fleeg said during the break that, this is all the Knicks' fault. That the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau brought negative energy. And I said, yeah, it sure did. We were riding high off the Knicks run. The Yankees starting good. The Mets starting good. It was good times. Literally, Evan and Morash had a whole debate. Who's better, Mets or Yankees? And we were talking about Subway Series. And now fast forward where we are here. Both teams inherited all the negative energy from the Knicks.
Yeah, well, the last time I called in saying the Mets are better than the Yankees, you absolutely crushed me. So I'm going to avoid that topic tonight. But I wanted to call and get your thoughts on the Mets sending down Francisco Alvarez. I was absolutely shocked when I heard they did that. I've been a big Frankie Alvarez fan since he came up in 2023. As a rookie catcher, to hit 25 home runs, set the franchise record for home runs in a season for a rookie catcher, and hit the 6th most home runs all time for a rookie catcher. Plus, he's great defensively. He's smart. He's coachable. I've just been a huge fan of his, so I was just absolutely shocked to hear that they sent him down. Do you think that was the right thing? Did that move shock you as well? What are your thoughts?
I didn't think they were going to do it because I thought that was the type of thing that could really crush the guy's ego. I felt like Mike Vaccaro writing that on the post kind of set it up where they had to do it, and there were a lot of people calling for it. I also didn't feel confident in Luis Torrens or Hayden Sanger. That's also something we should be talking about because not for nothing, Alvarez just presents so much more of a threat at the plate than those guys. They had to, though. He was looking terrible at the plate, and it was starting to carry over into his defense. He had the injury. He also had a baby recently. There's probably a lot going on. I even said earlier today, he got pulled from the game in Syracuse today because the heat, the dizziness. So he just needs to get right. And you know what? I guess since they did it after he homered and, he clanked the ball off the wall deep in left field at Citizens Bank Park, they did it at the right time where they're saying, hey, we're not doing this because we don't have confidence in you. We're doing this because we want to get you right. And we do want to bring you back. It's a long season. We're going to add at the deadline. We're going to have the all-star break and all that. We got to get you straightened out. So I don't think it's the type of thing that's going to crush a 23-year-old kid. I know he's competitive. I know he wants to get better. I think he's going to put in the time, and it'll come back around. But, we're just also in a time where, like, on the other side of town, they're not sending down Anthony Volpe. I just went on a rant about how they're not sending down Dominguez. They're not sending down Austin Wells. They're going to let these kids take their lumps on the major league level, and they're going to platoon these guys. Well, not Volpe. Volpe plays every single day. But it is what it is.
I mean, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I understood, like, the Mets used to send down Brett Beatty, like, every other week. And that was crazy because, like, Brett Beatty would have multi-home run games. He would come up clutch. Yeah, he had his errors at third, but, like, he's a guy that I would think would be treated kind of like a Dominguez or a Volpe or a Wells, where, like, you let them make their mistakes, but you keep them at the big league level. But even with him, like, I kind of understood when they would send him down. With Alvarez, I just don't get the logic at all. Like, I don't even know what happened to Omar Narvaez. He was pretty solid. I just don't know how he got to a place now where we have Torrens and Hayden.
Yeah, it's something you got to look at David Stearns and say, yo, how did we default into this? Thanks for the call, SJ. 888-808-1019. It's another pain point for the Mets where it's like the bottom of the lineup isn't good enough. And, when I talked about Carlos Mendoza last night saying I feel like the concern now is more like the state of the bullpen and how much we've used those guys. Like that's Steady Mendy starting in year 2 to be like, okay, let me give you some truth. Let me give you some reality. Like, we've overused these guys and they're not effective. But then he also said the bottom of the lineup, we're having a hard time creating opportunities. We're relying pretty much on the top 4 or 5 guys. That's real. We see it. Ralph out on Long Beach. What's up, man? You're on the Fan.
Hey, Keith, though, the pain, I'll tell you. That bullpen was overused. When he came in, I couldn't think. So what I had to do, because I'm a calm guy, I got on my bike, I took a ride, and I jumped in the water because I just had to relieve. Yes. I jumped in, I said, I'm on the boardwalk, but I needed to do that at my age. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been waiting to talk to you for a while, and I just think he's stressed it out again. He's going to burn the bullpen. He's going to pull it opposite Tim Thibodeau. You know what I mean? Don't play enough players. Then you make the wrong decision. But I got to go to something with the Nets. I think the Nets picked up a hell of a player, Terrence Mann. I used to see him in Florida State. My son went.
Me too.
And, I saw Florida State. I'm a big Seminole fan. The kid's got potential. He's got ice in his veins. I love this move.
Yeah, I remember when they knocked off Duke. I watched that whole game.
Because I can't stand Duke. I'm one of the biggest. I can't stand Duke. And I used to coach at Hickey Field, and Billy Donovan was a little chubby guy back then, stuff like that. I remember all the days with that stuff. He was before with the Providence. Yeah, when they knocked off Duke. But I love this Terrence Mann, and I'm just stressed out with this Met thing. But one day at a time. Jump in the water, and I told these kids, a bunch of kids from the rec, I'm going to take them to the Met game, and I just think we need to take a breath and just mendy it out. And I just love talking to you. You're a strength of energy. You got pizzazz. You got good chutzpah, and you're not a jellyfish. You got good energy.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. Hopefully, you jumping into the water is symbolic for the Mets fans, and you washed away this hex that the Braves have over you. There are people running with the narrative that since the Mets put the pride flag on the big screen during the national anthem, they haven't been able to win games at home. Frank the Tank, shout out to Frank the Tank. I jumped into Frank the Tank's live today. And he's like, Keith McPherson's in here. And the guy who was doing the live with is like, who is Keith McPherson? Someone's like, that's not really Keith McPherson. And Frank the Tank's like, Keith McPherson's not big enough for somebody to make a fake account of him. I'm like, no, it's me. It's my account. And he's like, who's Keith McPherson? They're having a conversation. He's like, he does nights at WFA and big Yankee fan. I'm sure he's loving this right now. And I'm like, I'm not loving this right now. I'm like, I jumped in. One, I always support Frank the Tank as Jersey guys. But Frank, you should have never switched from being a Nets fan to the Knicks. We don't do that. But I always support Frank the Tank as a Jersey guy. And I jumped in the chat because I thought it was eerie. I'm like, we both had 3-0 leads and then lost them back to back. Like, it was simultaneous. I'm like, we are in this together. We are struggling together, Mets and Yankees. The Yankees can't win night games. Go back and look at all these night games. They're all losses. 888-808-1019. Steve is in Homedale on the Fan. What's up, Steve?
Hello, Keith. How are you?
Good, good.
Two quick things. As far as Boone and his usage of the bullpen, he's just not consistent in what he does. Leiter last night, the first game against Cincinnati, threw like 28 pitches. And then he let him throw 27 pitches tonight, 55 pitches in 2 nights. So it's okay to overuse him. The guy was clearly on fumes in that last inning. But Devin Williams throws 9 pitches and he can't go a second inning tonight.
That's what I'm saying, Steve. Like, what I want to know, like explain it to me like I'm 5. How do they come up with who is a 1-inning guy, who's a 2-inning guy? How do they also come up with night to night matchups, whatever? Like, how many pitches these guys throw where they can say, like, why is Mark Leiter Jr. in such high rank?
It's ridiculous.
You're willing to lose the game in the series on Mark Leiter Jr.?
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention, which is really the biggest concern if you're a Yankee fan, is I think what we're seeing right now during these last 12 games is why the Yankees have so much trouble in the postseason. When they lose in the postseason, it's not because their pitching is poor. It's because they can hit good pitching. And I hate to keep using the term manufacture runs, but I want to give you an interesting stat. If you don't know, well, you probably do. The Yankees have the greatest run differential in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Even though clearly they have the best record. They have a run differential of 104. The Toronto Blue Jays trail the Yankees by 2.5 games. They have a run differential of -6. Everybody talks about the Yankees having such a good offense. The Yankees have a bully offense. The Yankees will pound you into submission where the hitting is contagious. They hit 5 home runs in a game. They'll beat you 10-2. And then the next night, when the game is close, it used to be when the game got toward the end of the game, you knew the Yankees were going to win the game. They'll get a clutch hit. The bullpen will shut them down. When the Yankees allowed that game to get tied tonight, I just knew they were not going to win. And look at even how they scored that run in the 11th inning. It was a wild pitch.
Yep.
If the pitcher didn't throw a wild pitch, there's no way the Yankees were going to score. And it's just unfortunate that they just can't seem to win these close games. They strike out, they have non-productive outs, and inferior teams just seem to be able to get the better of them in these games that come down to the wire. And it wouldn't shock me one bit tomorrow if tomorrow they win 10-2, and then that'll just make them look like that they, with their run scoring in the league. I mean, the one thing I will say is the Yankee pitching during this 3-9 12-game stretch. I don't think the Yankee team ERA is much more than 2.
No, it's been a strength. That's why, Steve, I said, why are we in a rush to take Rodon out? During this stretch, starting pitching has been a strength. Like, I'm saying, hey, man, come on. I know you're tired, you're huffing and puffing. Go out there for the 7th. If you give up, if you struggle, if you have a 9-pitch at bat, you give up a hit, we'll take you out. But we got to try and stretch you. You're rolling. We got to continue with you in this game and save the bullpen for the rest of this game and tomorrow. And, like, honestly, with Max Fried on the mound, you're right. They'll be confident with Fried on the mound, and they'll come out swinging, and Fried hopefully does his thing against those guys no matter what the temperature is, and they'll find a way to win, but they already lost the series.
One last thing, Keith. It's interesting because I was so upset when I saw Rodon has 88 pitches. He'll definitely go the 7th inning. And I was really annoyed at Boone. And then I was like really surprised to hear Rodon say he was gassed. And
They had their stories together. They had their stories together. That's the first thing I said on Twitter. They had their stories together. Boone backs up his players. Of course, his players are going to back up him. So Boone speaks first. And then when they get to him, because I'm like, come on, man. Rodon always has a problem coming out of the game. Rodon is always sweaty. Rodon is a guy that in the freezing cold temperatures of Detroit didn't have an undershirt on. So now it's too hot for him today. Now he's out of shape today. You were going for your 10th win today. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I want to give you one other quick thing because it's interesting because Rodon used the word gas. I don't know if you remember. Last year, Game 1 of the World Series against the Dodgers, Cole was mowing him down, and he was removed after 6 innings, and it ended up costing the Yankees.
Oh, of course I remember. The first thing I said tonight on my Twitter, and it got a lot of attention, I said, never take anyone out at 88 pitches ever again. I've seen them lose too many games removing the starter at that number. I think that's the number Cole was at in the World Series, and I also remember Domingo Germán versus the Cubs before the All-Star break was rolling, and they took him out at 88 pitches, and then the bullpen blew it. I'm like, why is 88 the magic number? Under 90 pitches, under 100 pitches. Why do we get to 88 and say, yeah, your job is done? That's enough.
But you know what, Keith? Cole, I was mad last year with Boone in the World Series, and then Cole said he was gassed. And I'm like, what is going on with these guys?
Like that's them having their story together. Your competitors, you guys get paid a lot of money to pitch. Go out there and compete. Thanks for the call, Steve. If not, then they are coddling these guys. If not, they are fostering a soft-ass culture of like, you don't got to go all like, no, that's the wrong way to be. That's the wrong way to be. Oh, I'm gassed. I don't care. You're playing a game. I don't care. We need you to go further into the game than that. And that's why I led with, okay, you guys made a big deal about Clark Schmidt being pulled at 103 pitches in the same heat, going 7 innings. Then make a big deal about Rodon being gassed and not fighting to come back out there and boom, pulling him today at 6 innings and 88 pitches. Jason is in Westfield. Before we get to the break, you got a couple minutes, Jason. You got it.
Hey, Keith. Thanks, man. Everybody's right. You're right. Boone's making decisions and Jazz getting kicked out. But your guy came up with the bases loaded, right? I'm wondering.
But yeah, let's not leave out Judge because and not to cut you off. We got time. In my chat, and I starred this. Daniel said, Michael K said, here comes the dangerous Aaron Judge with the bases loaded in the 8th inning. Judge not clutch. Can't get it done. Daniel says he's a choke artist. Judge hasn't been the same since Boone sat him down in Kansas City. Like, Judge has Cal Raleigh homering every single day and creating space on the home run lead in Major League Baseball. Judge has the narrative now coming back that he does not do it in the moments that they need him to do it. And he had an opportunity to be clutch today, and he folded.
What did you think? When he's up, what did you think was going to happen?
I had hoped that he would be clutch, but I knew he wasn't going to come through. He's not like that.
Me too. Go. I don't know. I'm older than you, but pick your favorite villain. If Altuve's up, he's good. I would think he's going to come through. For me, it's Poppy. For me, it's Edgar Martinez. Well, all those guys they would even, and then you can take it to the Yankees. You can go O'Neill. I believe O'Neill would come through. I believe Jeter would come through. Yeah, whatever. Old guy talking about these guys. When he's up there,
it was too hot. Jason, Judge was gassed. It was too hot. Judge was gassed.
Well, let me tell you before I know we got to go. Opening day, we need some positivity, Keith. All right, and I'm getting negative. You're negative. We're all negative. That opening day, you came back from stands. You may or may not have been hammered. I don't know. Who's to say? But you were so pumped up. You got me so pumped up. Like, yeah, let's go. It's the freaking Yankees. And we need to get that back as opposed to me thinking about Judge. Like, there's no chance Judge is coming through. I hope Ben Rice does it. That's what I thought. So I need you to get positive for me, buddy.
Yeah,
let's go.
Man,
let's go Yankees.
Thanks for the call, Jason. It's funny because, I didn't even want to do opening day on the fan because it's opening day and it's a long-ass day and you don't sleep the night before. But I just had somebody at Fanatics Fest that was like, yo, I loved your opening day show. And I'm like, yeah, because that's as real as it gets. Opening day, everyone is 0-0. And then when you win, you're 1-0. And I've been going to opening day now consistently for 10 years before I was on the fan. And I don't know, man. When opening day comes, hope springs eternal. You just think about, okay, maybe this is the year that we get back to the World Series and win it. And then you get on the roller coaster and it has its ebbs and flows and its ups and downs. And it just, I don't know. You get to these points. This too shall pass, but it sucks. And what sucks about it is It's a lot of the same themes that we have gone through as Yankee fans, whether it was what the scouting report that the Dodgers had last year or things that stopped us against the Houston Astros in years before. And when does it end? When does it change? When does it stop? I don't know. When can Judge be clutch and actually come through in those moments? When can Boone, control some of his players like Jazz to not get thrown out? When can they make the right decisions? When can we be more gutsy as far as manage with heart and feel and not analytics and numbers? And like I said, off of, what Clint Frazier told everybody this past week, it doesn't help. Clint Frazier said they don't care about hot. They think you're a number, you're not a human. And all the stuff Clint Frazier had to say, you're seeing it. And so a lot of people point to this era of the Yankees and say that the reason that they're not able to get back to the World Series and win it is because of how they do things from top down. But me as a Yankee fan, I always feel like they can go and win it. And when opening day starts, I get pumped to go on the ride. And I know that these days and weeks are going to come. I'm never getting off the ride. I might joke and say I need to find something better to do with my life, but this is what I chose to do with my life. 888-808-1019. And you too. If you're listening to a fan at 1:32 in the morning, you're probably a Yankees fan or a Mets fan, and you're going through it. And this is therapeutic. This is how you'll end up going to sleep. This is how you end up feeling better, hearing all of these different people call in and all of these different thoughts and takes as we turn the page to the next day. My show is running out. I've got about 22 minutes left. Let's take a break right here. More of your calls when we come back. BRB.
The Yankees wrap it up with
More on Twitter. my boy Miro. So my boy Miro checked in. Shout out to Joel Miro from our days working at MTV 10 years ago. So he responded to what I was saying about Jazz. The job is not to impress your fans, my guy. We got to win the game. Think about everybody else. We need you in there. Miro said you can't win against the ump. That said, call was egregious. And at that moment in the game, I would have blacked out on the ump, bro. I'm like, I'm old, man. I'm learning. Can't let your emotions get the best of you. Less is more. You just never win that way. And what happened? We lost without him on the field. He could have impacted the game. Like something I'm learning, bro, crashing out. And this is good for you young guys in here, because like it takes a lot of time to grow up and mature and understand this. Crashing out doesn't prove anything. Crashing out doesn't get anybody anywhere. Like, you look like the fool. I've learned in this job. I've learned in this capacity. Saying the wrong thing, lashing out, going back at people, attacking people. Like, you're not gonna win that way. You gotta learn to control your emotions. If you can't control your emotions, then you can't win. It is psychological warfare out here. It is all, mind over matter. If you don't mind, none of it matters. And in the game, we're going to talk about it when we come back. But like, man, let that be a message to all of y'all watching, in your jobs, in your relationship, in your family, your friends, whatever. I think a lot of us think like, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to say this, or I'm going to win this argument. And then you end up losing every time. You know who won the argument between Jazz and the umpire? The umpire who all he did was look at him and go like this. I'll talk about it now. .808 1019, taking calls on the Mets and the Yankees, and we wait for your Brooklyn Nets to see what they do with those 5 picks in the draft. And I'll save the conversation around that. I opened with it jokingly, because I took a call last night and it was funny. Shout out to Mont from Woodbridge if he's listening, because he was asking about what are the Nets going to do with that cap space. I'm like, I don't know. Well, they took on Terrence Mann's contract and they got a pick out of it. They got another first-round pick. What are you going to do with 5 first-round picks? Number 8, 19, 22, 26, 27. What are the Nets about to do? I'll put my Nets jersey on as soon as that happened today. I'm going to have a Nets jersey on tomorrow. I'm not going to hold you. As a Net fan, I'm getting a little giddy out here because I'm like, man, maybe they're about to trade up in the lottery. Maybe they do want Ace Bailey, who threw out the first pitch for the Mets today. Maybe there's something there. I know a lot of Mets fans are Nets fans. I know I was just looking at Rico Bronya before the show started, and Evan made a joke. He was like, the Mets need an ace. Maybe my Brooklyn Nets will get an ace. An Ace Bailey. So we'll see what happens. Doug is in Poughkeepsie on the Fan next. Go for it, Doug.
Keith, what's up, brother? It's been a long time since we spoke, man. I think the last time we spoke was when the Dallas and the Giants were still bad, but we were going back and forth.
But we need football, man. We definitely need football fast.
I know, but man, I'm not gonna try and solve the world's problem. I'm a Mets fan, man, and obviously I've grown up my whole life. I've been watching the Yankees since Yankees and the Mets. Put it this way, since Mike Pagliarulo was playing third for the Yankees and freaking Ray Knight was playing third for the Mets. So it's been a long time, but the one thing I don't understand, man, about these two teams, because they're light years ahead of what they're playing like right now. We all know that with the talent they got and the players they got. But the one thing I do understand, especially what I was saying before about watching the Yankees growing up, is I remember Chuck Laubach said it was the '96 season or the '98 season. They started off like 1-4 or 1-5, and they were playing the Twins, and they got smoked by one night. And they went in the locker room afterwards, and 6 games into the season, this team was like, yo,
what are we doing here, fellas? What is our season going to end up looking like at the end of the year? At the end of the Winter World Series. But they weren't playing no games 6 games into the year. And to relate that to what the Mets, what I want to relate that with the Mets is the Mets have to understand to be a championship team, to be a winning team, you take no nights off, man. There's no nights off. You know what I'm saying? If you're going out there, you're playing, you want to be a winner, you want to be a champion, you want to be like the Yankees or the Dodgers, these teams, you take no nights off. Winning teams don't go 1-9, man, in a 10-game stretch. Or 3-7, whatever it is.
Something has to happen.
So,
somebody's got to break a table. Somebody's got to swing on somebody. Somebody's got to call a team meeting. Something has to happen to be like, hey, enough is enough. We're embarrassing ourselves. We're going the wrong way.
We're going the wrong way, and we're going the wrong way. They were 21 games over 500 2 weeks ago, man. And they're down to 13 or 11, 12, whatever. And it's frustrating to watch this, man, because I'm watching both the Yankees and the Mets, and I'm like, yeah, because the Yankees are struggling too right now. And I'm like, what is wrong with
It doesn't make sense.
Man? Like, yo,
the caller SJ told me, he's like, last time I called you, you crushed me because I tried to say the Mets are better than the Yankees. The Mets have had a better record than the Yankees, but if you look in the standings now,
not at all.
It's just one game better. That could change tomorrow.
We're not better. We're not better than anybody right now.
No,
We're not better.
And for the Yankee fans, even like last night, I took a call where a Met fan was saying, like, why do Yankee fans obsess over Juan Soto? Like, you guys are losing. Why do you think you can laugh at Juan Soto striking out? And I'm like, I'm not laughing. There's nothing that a Yankee fan can say to a Met fan right now. What, because the Yankees have a first place still? That's evaporating. Because Juan Soto struck out. He also hit the homer to bring them within one. Like,
only 2 runs.
And not for nothing. I said if the Yankees had Juan Soto's production right now in this Yankee lineup, maybe we wouldn't have lost so many games. Juan Soto's production is up. It's just the rest of the lineup, Alonso and these guys have started to come back down to earth.
I know you got to go, Keith. I know the last point I want to make is, I've been saying to my son, because there's something about, to me, watching a long time, Mark Vientos, to me, the kid, he struggled to start this year. I know, he did struggle. There's something about him, man. You don't hit home runs like he hits and have the big playoffs that he hit if you ain't got some type of, really good player type of talent. You know what I'm saying? I think he struggled. He got off to a bad start. Everybody's like, oh, put Beta. Now you're seeing not having that kid in the lineup right now, how the teams are pitching to him. Because just by accident, he can hit a 3-run homer. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of player. So when you don't have those guys that by accident can hit 3-run homers on a bad pitch, it changes the whole dynamic of your lineup when your 5 through 9 are terrible, giving you absolutely nothing, and you don't have anybody at the top of your lineup that's on a heater. Some guys, Soto, Alonso, Judge, some of those guys can carry your team for 2 weeks sometimes, man. They can get on those stretches where they're just hitting 3-run bombs every night. The pitchers don't know how to throw to them. Teams are pitching around them, and that just discombobulates the whole rest of your game plan. But nobody's in a groove like that right now for either team. So it's like playing the Braves. I'm not disrespecting the Braves. The Braves aren't that good, though, man. You don't go 14 games under 500 and get beat 2 out of 3 by the Marlins over the weekend. They're not that good. They don't have the pitching for it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not disrespecting the Braves. I'm not with the Phillies or the people that we're chasing. The Yankees got the Tampa's coming up on the Yankees. These teams, man, they're not gonna relent. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna we feel bad for the Mets and the Yankees are struggling. No,
nobody feels sorry for you at all. Thanks for the call, Doug. 888-808-1019. That's why I always say those guys over there are millionaires too. Those guys over there drive nice cars too. When we were playing the Angels, I was like, you think Ron Washington isn't telling them, hey, you guys want the attention? We're in Yankee Stadium. Take the series from these guys. You guys want the world to see you? I'm not going to let Aaron Judge beat us. I'm walking him. Go out there and strike these guys out. Their scoreless streak, their losing streak is happening against us. Keep it going. Everybody hates the Yankees, right? They want to beat the Yankees. You think the Cincinnati Reds, who had to hear, let's go Yankees in their ballpark, fans cheering Aaron Judge, you think they don't want to beat the Yankees? They do. They're celebrating that win tonight, a walk-off win tonight like they walked off the World Series. They're a fourth-place team. They might not be in the postseason. This is their World Series. And not for nothing, and I know this because I went to the first game of the series last year. Adam in the chat says the Yankees have now lost 5 straight games to the Reds since last year. And I said last night, Ellie De La Cruz did the same thing in Yankee Stadium. Triple, homer, cycle alert. He did the same thing last night. 2 nights ago now. Ellie De La Cruz is something else, bro. His speed, I knew Mark Leiter Jr. was cooked. And I just knew we were cooked anyway because they're not going to win in extra innings. and Jazz got ejected. It was just bad vibes, bad mojo. They're not going to win in extra innings. Jazz got thrown out from the field in between innings. I'm like, all right, here comes another L, and then that L is a series L. Avery's in Manhattan on the fan. Thanks for holding, Avery. You got it.
I wanted to shed some light a little bit on the Jazz Chisholm situation. And it's really cool that you were able to talk to him and hash it out with him a little bit online. But I think that, we got to understand something that we didn't look at before, which is, well, I completely think that Jazz was in the wrong for having that reaction when he had it. And I do think that he definitely played a role in costing the team that win. We also have to understand Boone is not going to ridicule him publicly in front of all those cameras. And he talked about how Boone is in an unwinnable situation. And maybe, he could have pulled him off to the side between innings to talk to him or something. And maybe he did. We don't know. But in that situation right there, when he comes in, is he going to diffuse the situation? What's he supposed to say? What's he supposed to say?
What's Boone supposed to say?
As it's going on, while Jazz is saying,
there's nothing Boone could do. Boone gave him like a forearm to try and separate him from the umpire, but he was already rang up. He was already ejected.
Right.
What I was saying with Boone, I don't think I said anything about Boone with Jazz. What I was saying is that Boone and Rodon had their stories together as far as why they took Rodon out after 88 pitches. I'm like, their stories are going to be together because Boone defends his players. Rodon is not going to say, if Boone and them did have a conversation about, yeah, you're good here, whatever, Rodon is going to back him up. If Boone goes out there first and tells all of the New York media, I took him out because he was gassed. I took him out because the weather was hot, and he was struggling a little bit. He had enough. Rodon's going to back him up on that, and that's exactly what Rodon did. He said, I was huffing and puffing. And I'm like, to me, huffing and puffing?
Of course you're huffing and puffing.
It's hot. It's the summertime.
Yeah.
Aren't you trying to go out there and compete and fight? You get paid $27 million. Please fight. And I've seen you fight and push back with Matt Blake and Boone. I've seen you be almost to a point where it's unbecoming of you to try and act like you should be out there after you've given it up. You didn't give anything up today. Why are you bowing out today?
But the other thing is, with regards to the thing about the weather, let's also remember that when it was snowing in Detroit, and I know that you said the thing about Carlos Rodon sweating in the snow, but when they were saying it was too cold, and what was it? I think maybe it was last year when it was too cold early in the season and Judge wasn't hitting, and they said, oh, it's too cold, he'll figure it out, and then it got warmer, and they started hitting again. I don't know.
They are always weather affected. They are always weather affected. They're soft. Their whole culture is soft as baby. That's what I'm saying. They are fostering a culture of softness, and it comes out on the field. Oh, yeah, you're good. Hang it up. 88 pitches, 6 innings. You're too hot? No, go out there and gut it out. I'll take you out when it's time to take you out. We're not going to just wash our hands of it and be like, yeah, this is good enough. Even with Jazz, it's somebody tighten Jazz up, please. Jazz, we love your personality, right? We love your swag. But there comes a point in time where you got to be thinking about the team. You took it too far, and it cost the team. Avery, thanks for the call. 888-808-1019. Now this is getting attention online. My boy Miro, you guys know Jesus and Miro. I've had Miro on. Shout out to Joel. Miro is the man. He does a lot of stuff with the Yankees. He might be watching this now if he's on Twitter. He responded to my tweet too. He said, you can't win against the ump. That said, that call was egregious. And at that moment in the game, I would have blacked out on the ump too. And I'm like, listen, I'm old, man. And I'm learning. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. Less is more. You just never win that way. And what happened? We lost without him on the field when he could have impacted the game. You're not going to win trying. If the ump is staring at you, ignore it. Look the other way. Because you know what? That ump has a God complex, and that ump has authority over you where who won the argument? You standing, why are you looking at me? And continuing that, he threw you out of the game. You weren't there to help. You could have helped win the game. You could have been the winning run. You could have hit the ball. You know what I'm saying? You could have made a play in the field. Now you're out of the game because cooler heads didn't prevail. You let a third pitch of an at-bat cost you your at-bat and then cost you playing in the game, and then the team loses. And then, you double down on it. It starts to become, it looks immature. And it starts to become a thing where it's like, is that worth what you provide on the field? And I want Jazz to be here. I think Jazz is great for the city, for the team. I like his personality, but you got to grow up a little bit, bro. I'm 10 years older than Jazz. This is me saying I know how immature I still have been in recent time. I know mistakes that I've made, letting my emotions get the best of me, wanting to win arguments and things and like crashing out. The crash out is not the way. And that's the term that you young boys use. Crashing out, you're gonna learn. Crashing out, you crash. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be beneficial for you and everybody around you. That Jazz doing that, what did you gain? What did you earn? You earned a ticket to the showers. You were just the first one in the locker room before the L. And you took yourself out of the game. You weren't there for your teammates. And that's all I was saying on Twitter under the yes thing was like, bro, you can't beat the umps. You're not going to win an argument with the ump because the ump has the trump card that is throwing you out of the game, ringing you up. You can't ring him up. So, I don't know. It was compounded, man. Bob in Bayside on the Fan. What's up, Bob?
You're 1,000% right about Devin Williams with the 9 pitches. It's just mind-boggling. But let me just say, get in on this. All you doom, not you, but all these doomsayers about these, you don't realize how long a 162-game season. I'm willing to bet that the best Yankee teams ever, the 27 Yankees, the 98 Yankees, there were streaks where they lost 7 out of 8. I'm willing to. I don't have it at my fingertips, but streaks happen in a 162-game season.
Yeah, but what I've been saying is it's not that you're losing, it's how you're losing. And they're finding new ways to lose. And they're finding ways to just blow these games or not score or not. And like that's why we're freaking out a bit. 'Cause it's like they should have won that game tonight. That kid, Burns, when they got to him, I'm like, okay, good. Like, see it through. Rodon goes 6, only gives up 4 hits, 88 pitches, and he doesn't come out. And then, like, it's just unfortunate to learn, like, Loaisiga was sick 2 days ago, and then Loaisiga now is potentially the next casualty. Like, is he hurt now? Is he going to hit the IL now? Then you don't have him.
Keith, you're right about the hitting, but I'm willing to go to war with Max, Rodon, and Warren, and Clark Smith. That's a pretty good top 4.
And Luis Gil coming back at some point.
Right. That's a pretty good pitching staff.
They've been solid. Thanks for the call, Bob. And again, that's where I came back to with Rodon. Through this losing 2 weeks, winning 1 series, but having all these scoreless innings and ineptitude and low IQ baseball, the one thing you can hang your hat on is we've been getting good starts. So if I'm managing the team, which I'm not, and I don't know half the baseball that Aaron Boone has forgot, but like I'm not fostering this culture of softness. I'm pushing my starter. I know you're hot. I know you're huffing and puffing. Come on, man. Come on. You're cruising. You're doing your thing. You're only giving up 4 hits. Just go out there for the 7. We'll see how you do. Before I say, okay, let's go to Loaisiga. Knowing Loaisiga was sick the other day, and he hasn't been great this year. And then you get in some trouble. You got to get Fernando Cruz in there. And then you end up sticking to the script, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, and then Devin Williams for 9 pitches, bring him back out. Mark Leiter Jr., what equation makes Mark Leiter Jr. the answer after he pitched 2 nights ago where you're willing to lose a game in a series on Mark Leiter Jr.? I don't know. Whack. The Mets bullpen is whack too. Brazo Bond, they got to send him anywhere. All right. They got to send me anywhere. I'm done. I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully the Yankees win. Chris McMonagal's next. Good night.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM.